It's your boy Ancient Albatross here again with the Cypher Unlimited crew. We have our usual suspects, so Spigs18 or Anthony. We have Alpha Dean or simply Dean. And just as a quick reminder, if you haven't already, be sure to follow us here on Twitch or subscribe to us over on YouTube. We are very close to 1,000 subs on YouTube, so every sub is fully appreciated. And yeah, Dean, what are we doing here tonight?
Well, it's another great night, great interview. Anthony's going to yell at me because I'm not reading his intro completely verbatim, but I want to make sure every point that Anthony put in there is there. I'm just pretty excited about our show tonight because, we have none other than Agis Angelomatis, team director of RPG Stories. And as he describes it, self-described as a dream come true and a work in progress. This team is aiming to create a VTT world builder that will change the overall experience from online RPGs across the board. So RPG Stories is truly innovative and a new approach to virtual tabletop software, featuring a massive world builder that will give you a chance to create your own sessions in a fully 3D environment and play with your party. Everything you'll need in an all-in-one software. This is, like I said, this is awesome. I mean, it's going to contain 3D assets for heroes, monsters of all kinds of RPGs, fantasy, modern, sci-fi, which will also be able to run those through 3D printers and print your minis up and your items up that way. RPG Kickstarter is live right now. It's already funded and fast approaching the next stretch goal. And speaking of it being funded, we're looking at right now, 469 backers, $38,512, 23 days to go. So people, everybody out there, please support this. This is going to be great, phenomenal, and just downright awesome. Say hello to everybody out there, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I don't mind at all. So thank you for having me here. Hello to everybody. I want to start saying thank you for having me here. I mean, you guys are the best, and I really enjoyed the interview we did like a month ago. I remember I was in Greece, so it was 5 a.m. Now it's 3 a.m. because I'm in London. So yeah, it's always crazy. I want to ask anyone that is watching this interview to go and subscribe to you guys, to your tweets and YouTube. It's just a button. It's just a button for you guys. So just click it because it's really important for content creators and it really helps. All right, so I'm gonna start with a question. How are you guys?
We're doing great. First of all, welcome back to the CU. We had such a great time. We decided to bring you back for a second go around.
Thank you.
Is totally awesome. And I think I can speak for the other guys. We're actually doing pretty freaking well, right?
Yeah. Life is good. Life is really good these days.
Yeah. So I want to just jump right in before we start getting into the actual RPG stories, because this is what we're here for. But for our viewers that didn't watch the first video, just tell us who you are and maybe about your experience in gaming and your experience,
All right, so I'm not really used to it, but I am the director of RPG Stories. The company basically is called Brave Alice, and Alice is my colleague dog. She's not brave, but anyhow, yeah, the name is Brave Alice. And my background is from the video game industry. I was working as a senior producer for many years. I decided to make my own company, and I didn't really want to produce video games because the industry is really, really hard out there and the competition is, oh my God. So I want to create like a company that will produce and deliver either software or content around tabletop RPGs. So the first project is RPG Stories. This is who I am, basically. I have an amazing team with me. They're all of them better than me in every possible way. And I'm really lucky for the team I have. And here we are creating RPG Stories. The reason is that when I was, I think, 12 years old, living in Greece. My cousins were living in the UK, and they came back one summer with the second edition Player's Handbook from D&D and ruined my life. Basically, that was it. Yeah, this is how it all started. So yeah, I mean, since then I play every week. At some point, somebody asked me to be the dungeon master, and that never changed. You know how it goes. Nobody wants to play as a dungeon master, and you have to play as a dungeon master. And you complain about it, but when you play as a player, you are secretly bored. And after a few sessions, you are the DM again. So this is me. Yeah, and funny thing, I really like to say that in my interviews because we love being honest. I am not a huge fan of VTTs. I prefer the table, like everybody, I mean. And I see that the new audience out there, the new players really enjoy creating worlds, playing online, using rule sets, all these things. And I'm now literally creating that. And I think that the chemistry that my team has is that we are trying to figure out ways to bring that magical thing we get on the table in a VTT. And yeah, that's all I had to say about
that's the dream, though. Getting that real table feel in an online, atmosphere. Like, like you said, and this is nothing against VTTs, but like, it doesn't compare to sitting in person and playing with your friends around a table. Like, nothing beats that.
I agree with you, and I was telling my leader developer that the first step to make everyone feel like this is the real thing around the table, we have to put an app from which we can order food and pizzas. So that's the first step. If you have that, then it looks like playing around the table.
Before you jump into the question, I just want to touch base on what you said about your team. I've had the pleasure to talk to Christina, and I don't want to mispronounce Carissa.
Yeah, Carissa. Yeah.
Carissa, first off, those are two phenomenal human beings.
Yes, they are.
Any sort of question, they get right back to me, and they've been a pleasure to work with, to go back and forth.
I know.
And I could tell the passion that they have for this project just by just having the back and forth correspondence.
Yeah,
I could feel that they really believe in this project.
They really, all of them, they're really helping. A funny thing is that, first of all, I want to say something. It was my first company policy, let's say, that I want to have like 50-50 representation, gender representation among the employees. So we really try to hire female artists, community managers, developers, and it really paid off. They are doing an amazing job. About my team, I want to say something about Christina. It's Christina in Greek. She came with a really nice CV in the company. I used to be a producer in my previous company. And I read that CV and I said to my boss back then, we need to hire her. And it's not that he rejected her, but it wasn't the time to hire a new intern. So when I started my own company, I remembered that CV and I called her and I said, hey, do you want to join this new company? And blah, blah, blah. And she's a jackpot. I mean, she is, we literally begging her to stop working at some point. She's so passionate with, coding and community management and everything. She's a treasure. She's amazing. All of them, they are. I'm just talking about Christina because she's young and she's giving her life in this project. And we haven't even met in person yet because I live in London. She's in Greece. So she's amazing. And I'm really lucky to have her.
That's awesome.
Because she found us somehow and contacted me and was like, hey, check this stuff out.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
That's like one of the most awesome things you hear, and it's always good to hear that because, you know, it's nice when you see that with other people too. Because I mean, that's kind of the same story I feel with these guys. You know, I met them and they were like the thing that I needed. You know, so it's always good when we as people can find that other piece. So
Yeah.
kudos to Krista and kudos to you, Ais, because you're a pretty phenomenal guy yourself.
Thank you.
know?
Ooh, yeah, moving on to the next question here. We know you've been on our show before, but could you explain to our viewers who may not know what RPG Stories is, like what it is, and what makes your VTT different and stand out from other software currently on the market?
All right. So I'll start with the first part of the question. So RPG Stories is a 3D world builder / virtual tabletop. And we introduced the project like that because if someone reads carefully the features, they will understand that they can use RPG Stories either as a world builder or a VTT or both of them. So what we're doing is that we deliver like a world builder where all the tabletop RPG players can go build any possible indoor or outdoor environment for all eras of RPGs, like medieval fantasy, modern horror, sci-fi, anything they want. We allow them to export these things in 2D or video or whatever they want and go and play in another VTT. So we are not locking our exports saying that, hey, this is only for RPG Stories, because I'll explain why later on. But let's not forget, because I think it's really important for everyone that is involved in that industry. So we want to keep it open. So if anyone is using any of the other amazing softwares that are out there, they can just use RPG Stories as a world builder if that's what they need. Especially because finding modern and sci-fi props is not that easy, as with D&D stuff. So the other part is the virtual tabletop. Basically, after you build your environment, you can connect with your friends and play your favorite role-playing game in a 3D setting. Each player has his own camera. The dungeon master, the game master, can always lock the cameras and control everything. They can roll the 3D dice. They can move around their models, because we use, for characters and monsters, we use video-like 3D models. We also have miniatures because we work with Hero Forge, but that's for later on. And the third part we want to say is that you can ignore the world builder and use the VTT as a 2D VTT. So for people who spend like a lot of money in 2D images, other software to produce maps, or create their own things, they can take these 2D images, upload them, and play in 2D style. So we wanted to create an all-in-one software thing. And now on the second question, what makes us different? I don't really know anymore. That's the official question. I'll explain why. So when the idea came, I thought that it was only Tailspire out there as a 3D virtual tabletop. So we started the development, and all of a sudden Chronos Builder appeared. And after 2 months, Scene Grinder appeared. And after 3 months, Menhir appeared. And after 2 months, Constructor appeared. So all of a sudden, we were surrounded with competitors. Although when we decided to, spend a lot of money into these, because that's one of our difference. We went on the Kickstarter campaign with almost the final product. We spent the funds ourselves because it happened to have the funds. That it's not that we are better or something. So when we decided to make this investment, we thought we were alone. So what we did was watch really closely what Tailspire did and what we can fix and what we can improve. Watch really closely the Dungeon Alchemist World Builder, which we thought was amazing, and how we can improve it and deliver something amazing for all eras. But all of a sudden, they appeared so many that we don't have the time to research everything and say, hey, these are the difference. So one thing we are sure that we are different is that we alongside with the world builder, we have quest writing tools. So as you build your world, you can also compose your quest within the software. And when you export, you can also export everything that you have written down. So basically, anyone who's using RPG Stories can open your file and have all your environments and your quests. So basically, you have like a quest file, and we're giving this commercial free. So
that's awesome.
That means if RPG Stories community grow, then everyone can sell to each other their stories and start making a profit. And as we like to say, we want to sell the software, you guys sell the stories, and everyone's happy. Overall, we are trying to become the community's VTT. We really hope we're going to become rich. I mean, I wish. I don't think so, because we do more than the funds we have. So we work more hours, and even when the funds are not enough, we are figuring out how to do it, and we are doing it. We're not saying this is what we promised, here's where we're going to stop. And we really want to give the community, our community and our backers, a voice during the whole development. So what we're doing is that we're saying that anyone who's going to back the project or in the future is going to buy the software, they will have a voice. And that means that every time we are going to implement something new, we're going to give polls, questionnaires, and ask them how they want us to proceed. And I know that it sounds a little bit vague, so let me give you an example. So at this moment, we have a dragon, a 3D model dragon in the game. So the question is for the backers, hey guys, do you want us to create a different 3D model dragon for the black dragon, for the golden dragon, for the yellow dragon, for the blue dragon? Or do you want us to keep the same model, just change the texture, change the color, and save that money and spend that money into new models or into that feature? So questions like these will always be the case around our Discord server, because we understand that not everyone is playing the game the way I play it. And creating a software the way we want, we don't think that it will be the amazing thing we're dreaming of, because everyone is playing the game differently. And since the funds are not endless, we want to give a voice to the people and say, hey, these are the funds, hear what we're thinking, share your ideas, let's do it together, because you will be using it. That's the case pretty much. And since you asked me about the differences, we are really, really trying to be polite in every comment, although it's hard sometimes. And we are really trying not to trash on the competition. We respect everyone, and I want to prove it. We are trying to prove it, because everyone is trying to make us say something bad about someone else, because, you know, that's the thing, apparently. So there are out there amazing projects that everyone needs to check. So right now there is a Kickstarter campaign from Menhir. Another VTT is coming, it's called Constructo. They call it Constructo because they're Italian. But anyway, Constructo. And as I say to all the comments, because they asked us what the difference between you, all we are saying is that all the three studios that right now are releasing something new, they all seem honest. It's pretty clear to understand that they are not lying. You can see the UI, you can see the actual thing working. So we are not lying, especially us, that we have like a final thing. I mean, every video in our Kickstarter campaign is with a UI. It's not a video, it's not montage, it's not from within the engine, it's the actual software. And we're gonna give people the chance to test it soon. So since all three studios are honest, backing a project for $10 or $20 is basically a pizza night. I think it was the shot to help RPG Stories, help any other VTT that is out there. I am literally saying the names, and we say the same thing in our Discord server, because people are coming and they're like, I'm using this other VTT and they're doing this. Are you going to do that? And we are like, you are allowed to say the name. I mean, come on, guys. We are all in the same industry. And to wrap it up, because I know I'm talking a lot. So D&D 1 is coming. We knew it. Everyone that was working on a VTT knew it before they announced it. We couldn't really say about it, but we knew it because we are in the industry. We understand, we see the signs. The first sign was that D&D Beyond stopped working with third parties software. So we knew it, that it was coming. So here's the thing. Either everyone will go to the big company, which is not bad, and then, you know, starting paying every book for $30. RPG Stories cost $30. So it's kind of weird. So either we go there and we nag about it and we don't have anything commercial free, or we support other VTTs. And I think that the market is huge. 3, 4, 5 VTTs can easily breathe in this industry. And we have 2 years before D&D 1 to prove to the community that, you know, we can do something about all the things that annoys us from a big company. And they're doing the job, and they are doing it correctly. I'm pretty sure that if I was the boss of Wizard of the Coast, I would do the same. So that's why I think that everyone needs to be united. And all of us, we need to find ways to support each other, even if we are direct competitors. So that's why I don't know what's the difference. All I know is that—
I think the biggest difference off the jump is, I will probably touch about this later, but to be able to share your content on other VTTs is
Massive.
It's kind of original to me. I think that's one of the biggest differences that caught my eye immediately.
Yeah, because, you know, there are people out there. Let me give you an example. There are people out there that they invested a lot of money and time to Foundry, and they play in 2D. Now, why stop them? They can use our world builder, because we understand that it's really hard to find like assets for Call of Cthulhu, for example. Take RPG Stories, create your worlds, export in 2D, Foundry export, take it and play. There's no reason to fight each other. We can all work together. And basically what we offer that is different from Foundry, it's the 3D environment. So if you prefer the 3D environment, then yes, you can play. I mean, there's space for everyone. The other thing is that we support all 3 eras, which, as far as I know, nobody else is doing, or is doing it right away. Maybe they have it in the stretch goals, I don't know, but we are doing it right here, right now, and we are supporting them equally. I must say that it was a huge disappointment for us, because I'll make a joke. It's easier to sell drugs outside the FBI than approaching the modern horror community and the sci-fi community. And the reason is there are no tags on Facebook ads. So if you type Dungeons and Dragons, you can find everything. But if you type Blade Runner, there's no tag. So it's pretty hard to reach that community out there. So you go on Reddit, and you know how Reddit works. If you promote directly, everybody hates you. So it's pretty hard to reach that audience and say, hey, I exist. I'm over here. You can play Blade Runner in my VTT. And you see the new rule book of Blade Runner made 1.5 million just a month ago. So there's a huge audience out there playing sci-fi every day, and they don't know about us because it's almost impossible to reach. Because there are no keywords.
Well, I mean,
It's easier to sell drugs.
Yeah,
outside the FBI, like you
Sell
said,
drugs
outside.
in the Blade Runner.
yeah. I think it's easier. I think that if I take the airplane, go to the FBI and try to sell drugs, I will manage it somehow easier than approaching the sci-fi community and say, hey, I exist. Because basically you cannot advertise. There are no keywords, so we are hoping that, okay, the TNT community made us famous so far. That's the truth. But we are hoping that the word of mouth between the chaos community and the sci-fi community and the Vampire the Masquerade community will help us with the word of mouth in time, because it's pretty hard to get to them.
Well, I think what you're doing, Agis, I think it's going to make it work out. And you know what? We are passionate about it. So we share this around, and I'm on a lot of different sites. And I try to let people know, and talk about it in the local game stores and everything else. So, hopefully this will be a match made in heaven, and we can all see the benefits and the fruits of your labor. Because what you're doing, I think what you're doing is brilliant. I mean, I know Anthony and Al, I think we all feel the same way about it. Every time we talk about it, we start smiling and be like, man, I could do this and I could do that.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much.
And so with that being said, you guys are already funded, fast approaching your next stretch goal. Can you tell us a little bit about that next stretch goal, and perhaps maybe what else you have in mind planned for the future stretch goals?
All right, yeah. So I want to say something, because I understand that anyone that goes in our Kickstarter campaign sees a funded campaign with a certain amount of money. So that money is a little bit unfair, because it doesn't count all the amazing people that became VIP members before the Kickstarter campaign. And we have to thank them, because, their names and the number of backers are not in the Kickstarter campaign. So, for example, you became a VIP member right in our previous interview, and so many other people basically giving us the money we already made in the Kickstarter campaign. So it's kind of double that number, and we cannot thank them enough. Because, when we opened that VIP membership, we didn't accept for people to go crazy and go and, pre-order the thing even before the Kickstarter campaign, and even before we got the ability to really show the software. So it was an amazing journey. So that means we got the power to go to the Kickstarter campaign with a really low goal, just to polish the whole thing and finish the multiplayer, a few things with photon servers and things like that. And then put a first stretch goal. So this stretch goal we are hunting down right now, it's to improve the whole design around character seats, because we want to give several options. The second thing, everything is about improvement. That's why if you check the name in the stretch goal, is an overall upgrade. So we want to take every feature and take it to the next level. So improve the character seats, give more customization options, give 1,000 more models, and basically give the chance to the user to really optimize everything, use the software with more auto ways to build. So let me give you some examples. Right now, everything kind of in the world builder, everything works in an auto way. You get to just drag and drop and draw rooms without placing every tile and every piece of wall. You just drag, you draw where you want to be, when your room want to be, and whoop, the room appears. So what we want to do now in this next thing is to create like an auto dungeon generator or an auto terrain, saying, give me a forest, and then the system will, with an AI, give you a forest right away. So right now you get to draw the forest, which means you don't take one tree, place it, copy, paste it, copy, paste it, change a little bit the size, We don't go that way. You can take the brush and just draw really fast the forest, but why not clicking the word forest and having a forest? So we want to make improvements like that. Another example is you place, let's say, a library in a room. We want to give you the option to change the textures a little bit, make it more dirty, things like that. Another thing we want to implement in that particular stretch goal is this. Since we allow you to export everything in a single file, we also want to allow you to save within the software several creations you do, and then add them in your library and be able to share them with the community or reuse them. An example, you take a table, you place 3 candles, you place a book, you place a potion on it, and you say, hey, that's a nice table. So we want to give the user the ability to save this table as a whole with the objects on it. That's and awesome. Share it with the world. So you don't have every time to go and say, let's put a few potions there. Let's, you know what I mean? Right. So, and we are going to do it ourselves as well. So we hope that by giving more models and giving the options for people to save their creations and reuse them, not only by exporting the whole thing, but saving little pieces of your map, we will make RPG stories really grow and have like lots of variations. That's pretty much the stretch goal. We just want to give lots of more customizable and auto ways to do things and improve the overall experience. So we are really positive that we are going to catch that stretch goal because we know our numbers, we see what is happening. And even if we don't for 5K or 2K, either way, we're going to do these things, or 90% of them, because we want to do them. And we've been accused for, you know how the internet is. We've been accused that, like, why are you asking for so little money? Why are you asking for so much money on the next weird stuff? So I want to say something. We just had the funds to do it. That's all. I mean, it's not something bad. I had some money in my bank account and I said, let's try it. It's simple as that. I mean, that's why we are not asking for millions. I don't know how to put it. And I've seen to other campaigns, people complaining, why are you asking for so much money? Well, because they don't have the funds and they want your help. There is no any magical secret around it. Either you have the money to do it or you don't, and you go to Kickstarter campaign for different reasons. And I realized now that there have been a lot of Kickstarter campaigns that there were scams. I didn't know about it, and I would never imagine that something like that exists.
Oh yeah.
But that's the case after all. So now we learned, because that's our first Kickstarter campaign. And as you have probably realized, we're weird people and we are really honest. So when we went to our Kickstarter campaign, we took every advice that the Kickstarter website gave literally. So we calculated everything in every detail. And if you see the money we ask are kind of weird, because we ask like 20,600 pounds, because we calculated everything trying to be honest. So
we got Starbucks last week. How much?
Yeah, 3,617 pounds. That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And when we realized that people are kind of suspicious because they've been scammed several times, this little bubble we were living in broke. Like, oh my God, yeah, somebody can go to Kickstarter and lie, of course.
Well, we'll tell you what, Agis, first of all, thank you for the great answer. And yes, it's awesome. And see, I think you should just change, like your tagline, where it's RPG stories, where options are optimized. Because that's what you're doing. You're optimizing us, giving everybody. That's like my thing. I love that. I love options. I love, being able to do multiple things, multiple ways, and all of that. And I think a lot of people, especially, people who fall into that category, like you're talking about game masters. Game masters are weirdos. We want everything and probably use a tenth of what we have, but we want it,
And I want to say something. People keep asking us if they will be allowed to place an object within an object and underneath the ground or in the wall, because every other wall builder, basically, it's tile based. And when you place like a chest, you cannot place it in the wall. So I'm a crazy DM. So I really wanted to have the freedom to do whatever crazy shit I want. So my leader developer said, we cannot allow this. This is wrong. And I said, no, this is not wrong. This is about dungeon masters. They should be able to do whatever they want. Yeah, so we give the freedom to do anything you want with the models.
I mean, we wouldn't be GMs or DMs if we didn't try crazy stuff. So the software is capable of, dealing with our crazy imaginations. That's nothing but a plus.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about price points, because you mentioned this, and I think this is like a question that everyone want to know. If you back the Kickstarter, right, just plain and simple, is it a one-time purchase, or will you have to pay a subscription fee in a later date?
All right, so that's why we will never get rich. So no subscription. The reason we decided not to go with subscription is because one day I saw, how is that word? English fail me right now. We saw, not an interview.
An editorial?
A poll.
Okay.
Yeah. That basically was saying that 95% of the people who are playing TTRPGs hate subscriptions. So when I saw that, and I realized that most of the software are with the subscription, I was like, okay, no subscriptions. We're gonna do it one-off. So the price is not decided 100% yet. So what we are doing is that we have a price right now in our Kickstarter campaign. Probably will stay the same or a little bit higher in the Steam page. And what we are doing is that we are giving basically 3 different versions of the software. So we thought that this was really simple, but apparently it's not, because we are getting a lot of questions. So I'll try to break it down as full detailed as possible. So the first version is the full suite, is the whole thing, and it's called GM version. That version has everything. It has the wall builder and the VTT gameplay mode, and you can do everything we offer if you have the GM version, including being a player. So if 3 people have the GM version, one of them can be the dungeon master, and the other 2, even though they have the GM version, they can play as players. All right, so that's the product. We saw in the comment sections of our competitors that basically too many people are complaining that, hey, I'm a player, why do I have to buy the whole thing? I'm never going to use the wall builder. I'm a forever player. A perfect example is my wife. She will never play as a dungeon master. So why does she have to pay for the whole thing to play? So we decided to give to the people a player's version. So the player's version has the VTT play mode, but it does not include the wall builder. So if someone goes and buy the player version for $10, which is basically 1/3 of the price, he installs this version to his PC or his Mac. And what he can do is open the software offline, create his characters, write down his journal, his backstory, create several characters for several games, write down the character sheets, save them. And when the time comes, they can connect with the GM version and play, select one of the characters and play the game. We announced that, And then the community started asking for a third version. So the third version, we call it player seat. So the player seat is exactly what a player version is. So it's a version where someone can go create characters, save and play, but without the world builder. But it doesn't belong to the player. It belongs to the GM. So in order to buy player seats, you have to own the GM version. And what the player seats does is that it allows the GM master to decide who is going to use it each time. So I have the GM version with 5 seats, and today I decide to play with you guys. After the game, I lock these seats for you, and the next day I play with some other friends, and the next day with some other friends with the same player seats. So basically, we did that for professional DMs who don't really want to ask their clients to buy anything. So we allow a professional game master to go buy the product, buy the player seats, and he gets to decide who is using them each time. So
that's super cool. That is an awesome addition. Because like you said, if someone's like, let's say running a Twitch show or whatever have you, they don't want to ask their, cast to purchase the thing every time. They can have a rotating, thing of seats that they can let their that is so cool. That's fantastic.
It is. We are losing money, but it is.
I mean, I think it.
Hold on. Quick thing. Chat is putting a lot of great questions. We're gonna calculate those questions and ask at the end of our questions, because a lot of your questions are actually in our questioning. But as soon as our questions are done, we definitely gonna ask. So keep on putting your questions in chat. Could you just please put question in the front of it so we know? So when we keep track of it, so we'll know. But we're definitely gonna ask all these great questions that are being asked in chat.
Yeah.
And I want to mention one thing. We allowed, again, because somebody asked it in our community, we also allow in our Kickstarter campaign to combine these things. So if for any crazy reason, somebody wants to buy the GM version, 4 normal player versions to give them to their friends, and 2 player seats, just because he wants to combine the whole thing, we allow that. So basically, we are trying to do whatever the community asks for. And we think that's the way, because I personally, I'm the director of the whole thing, and supposedly I'm the wise guy that knows everything. Not at all. I've never thought of the player seat. So someone said, hey, I'm a dungeon master. I don't want to, and I do that for a living. I don't want to ask from the players to buy the thing. Is there a chance we can have player seats? So I went to my developer and I said, is there a chance we can have player seats? And he went to Steam and he asked, is there a chance? So since we figured out that we can do it, we said, all right, let's do it.
That's so cool. It's such an awesome feature. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say that, that it's really nice, because I like the fact that there's a GM package where you get a GM package with 4 seats that's connected to your account. But then now you're saying that I could go out and buy seats, which I'll probably do because I want to give them out to some friends who might end up playing with other people. So, they can just, they have their player seat, and maybe even we'll buy some, Anthony, and we can give those away during the giveaway as well. Some player seats, just throw some player seats out there as well.
Yeah, I didn't want to spoil anything, but they have been rather gracious on the giveaway. We'll announce that when we start announcing prizes.
Yeah, but you mentioned community aspect to this, which is a great segue into our next question here. When you visit the Kickstarter page, you guys mentioned that backers at a certain pledge will be able to design assets themselves and even sell them through your store to other members. Can you tell us a little bit more about that process?
All right, yeah. So first of all, we allow people to upload their own models in the software. Either way, anyone can upload their own model. Not in the version we're going to give now for testing, because we want to test specific things. But upon release, everyone will be able to upload any model. So what we're going to do about that, because we had several meetings about it, and people in the community every day ask the same question. So what type of models I'm allowed to upload? So what we've decided to do with that is place in a small corner in our website our specs, how we do it, and then tell the community that this is how we do it, this is how you won't affect the performance. But if you think your PC can handle anything, feel free to upload anything you want, like 3 million polygons. It's your choice. If you get lag, you get lag. And we decided to leave that open. And the same thing occurs to how big your environment can be. We leave it open because not everyone has the same PC. So the specs are medium power PCs, older i5s. We are not aiming high for that. We optimize everything. So it's an easygoing software. But if anyone wants to upload anything crazy and their PC can handle it, then he's free to do it. So after a certain pledge, and obviously they can export these things and sell them, blah, blah, blah. After a certain pledge, we say that, hey, if you want us to design for you a specific model, we are willing to do it. So in that case, and we also say, because we thought Easter eggs are good and marketing is funny sometimes, and we say that, and if you want this model to be under your brand, you are allowed to do it. So let's say you, for example, pledge and you ask for a crazy model in the modern era that looks like your glasses that are amazing. And we can call these glasses basically Cypher Unlimited glasses. And let them have like a link to click so you can go to your website. So that was the idea with that. And I want to mention something, that we are saying that everything is commercial free, but here's a huge but. If you create something in RPG stories using models that you don't have the copyrights to use, then we cannot do anything. So the funny example we always bring is that if you take RPG stories, you load up the whole Disney and then export it. Obviously, Disney is going to knock your door and ask for money, and that's not our fault. Yeah, but other than that, it's commercial free.
Disney's so big, it'll knock on everybody's door to get their assets back.
I'm going to tell you a story about that. When I first came in London, because back in Greece, I used to do direction photography, and this is basically how I turned up working in video games. I met a girl with her husband. They're dressing like Disney princes and princesses, and they go to children parties. And they had like a really cute website with pictures and things like that. They got a warning from Disney. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? And they asked me to photo shoot and change the whole website because they were threatened, basically. And we are talking about a local Londoner that basically goes as a frozen princess to a kid's party.
Stop making those 5-year-olds happy.
Yeah. Stop making money. That's the whole.
That's right. Mickey knocking on your, hey, you, over there.
Yeah.
Where's my money?
Did you gonna jump in?
Yeah, I'm gonna jump right in. So that was great. You know, I'm glad you told us about that. So we're talking about assets and things like that. So you have beautiful sets already, you know, fully playable tokens, miniatures to use from the start. But is it true that you can design your own characters on Hero Forge and upload them to your games as well?
Yeah, that was another nice decision for us to lose money. So here's the thing. Our design and our idea was to have 3D models like in video games. And I don't want to hide, the idea was, all right, let's give a base model, let them customize the model, make it the way they want, throw it in and play with a model that walks around, things like that. And the idea was that afterwards in our marketplace, what a great idea. We're going to sell more models, more special models, cosmetics, things like that around the 3D models. And that was part of our marketing plan, basically, that this is something that never had before, and every other VTT is using miniatures. So let's do that. Let's go with 3D models, and maybe we can make some money out of it in the future, not by selling essential things, but, you know, little cosmetics, a nice armor, a nice weapon. But then again, since we declared that we want to be the community's VTT, we saw that the community really loves Hero Forge. So we contacted Hero Forge and we said, hey, can we get your API? And they said, yes, you can. So we brought them in, giving the options to the users to basically ignore our own design and bring in the miniatures and play with the miniatures. Because again, after all, they are using the software. We want everyone to be happy. And we think that RPG Stories is not going to make us exactly rich, but we want RPG Stories to, you know, secure the company for the years to come, at least, and bring us in the industry as a new thing. So we are happy with that. And that's why we agreed and we brought Hero Forge in.
So
I mean,
just for clarification, real quick, give me a sec. Just for clarification, we'll be able to use the Hero Forge stuff, or we'll be able to use your modeling assets, correct?
Sorry, come again?
We'll be able to use either Hero Forge or your modeling assets.
Or
Your
both.
3D model. Right. Beautiful.
And you can combine them, right?
Yeah, if someone is willing to do that, like having his own miniature and somebody else wants to have the model, it's the same thing. Now, what we want to try to do now, I think it's impossible, but one of my devs really want to try it. We are going to try to connect our animator controller, basically the rigging and the animations we have, with the miniatures of Hero Force to see the result. I don't think it's possible. I think it's kind of tricky, and
But it's
the result.
ambitious.
Yeah, but we're going to test it for fun at least.
That sounds fun.
That's
I
still
definitely.
ambitious.
No, I was gonna say, if you do test it, be sure to record it, because if
Yeah,
it
we
looks
will.
hilarious, like, because I can imagine just throwing
Yeah.
the animation onto some random model will produce some hilarious effects.
Yeah, because, you know, you need to rig the model basically and give it bones. But since this is a miniature and it's on a stand,
Right.
and, you know, they have some, because this is really technical stuff, but I think it will be a disaster, but we're going to try it.
Well, they don't have a skeleton. You know, the miniature just has an outline, so it doesn't have a skeleton. I know it does sound ambitious, but if it works, hey.
Yeah, we'll see.
You kind of touched on this next question a little bit, but you could probably expand upon it. You know, we all know that it's a full 3D VTT, but you also capable of running your games in 2D if you choose to, as well as a player. And I know you mentioned you could export your files from other VTT to other VTTs and world builders if you wish. What was the thought process behind it, and why would, you know, that's what's
Oh, I'll tell you exactly why we did that.
Yeah.
So do you use Incarnate, the map maker?
personally,
I have.
but I know a lot of people that do. Yeah.
All right. So I really like Incarnate. I really like the maps. So when I play D&D as a dungeon master, I always have like a map, and we discuss where we're gonna go, blah blah blah, things like that, and then we go there and we have a scene. So the first idea was like, we need to allow them upload 2D images because somebody would like to upload like a map so they can see it. So uploading a 2D image is just a drag and drop, and it's just a line in the code. So we did that. And as time was passing by, I thought to myself, all right, so many people are investing so much money on creating 2D images. Why not allow them to, you know, upload them and bring the grid up on the 2D, bring the dice up on the 2D, and change the whole thing? We approached an amazing company. I really love them. Their name is Natrans, and they're from Australia. They are creating amazing 2D maps. And we said, hey guys, do you want us to collaborate? You give us your maps. We're going to put them in RPG Stories, everyone is happy. It's not an exclusive collaboration. I mean, anyone can upload anything, but we suggest their maps, and we're going to have some pre-made maps in the system upon release. And this is how it happened, basically, because we understand that 2D is not like an option because people cannot play in 3D. People really like 2D. They like the top-down view, and especially for parties who really play with tactics and they follow the grid system 100%. I don't. It's really useful. So we said, why not? I mean, why not? And it will be another reason to use RPG stories, and it will also give life to companies who create 2D images. So we said, all right, let's do it. Let's put it in the production. So at the moment, what you can do basically is drag and drop an image, and it covers the whole screen, and you have like a 2D thing to play. And we're going to improve it, obviously, because we want all the VTT features to work in a 2D environment. So, for example, Fog of War, our Fog of War is in 3D space. We want to change it to 2D, and we want the system to recognize immediately that, hey, now I got a 2D image in front of me. So let's use the 2D AI and not the 3D AI. So we're working on that, but the 2D system is already there.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
that's
people.
great.
Oh, good. No, I was gonna say people do love creating, like Jason said in the chat. They love Incarnate. People love creating their like 2D maps or whatever, and it's awesome that you'll be able to bring that in. Because again, some people are a little more old school. They don't want the whole 3D experience, and be able to have an all-encompassing VTT that lets you still go back to your roots, go back to that 2D style. It's just awesome.
Yeah. And we have a dream around that. I cannot say anything. But yeah, basically, I cannot say. But we have a dream, and we want to do something around maps in D&D. And possibly it will be our next project. It will be a separate software, but you will also be able to connect it with RPG stories. We have an idea about map making, and that's all I can say right now.
No, people love making maps, so that's definitely tantalizing.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say, we're coming up to our last question here. Our main questions, I should say. So if anyone else in the audience has questions to ask, be sure to ask them. I know we have a few already. Just throwing it out there that we'll be asking the audience questions soon. But yeah, Odin,
Okay with you.
yeah. Were you gonna say
I'll
something?
get
Dean?
the last question. Yeah.
All right.
No, Al starts to ask this question.
Yeah.
Al, we already talked about that. You weren't looking.
But
Look
yeah.
at our
So
chat, Ed.
either way.
Oh, okay.
Our last main question here is, are there any features from RPG stories that we haven't spoken about yet, or that's on your, or that you wish that our viewers should be aware of, or that it's important for them to know before they go and back the project?
All right. The answer is no, and I'm going to explain why. But because that's the important thing, and that's how we are thinking, and that's the path we've chosen. So we don't want to overpromise, and we don't want to say anything that it's not 100% sure. So we are testing several things that I've seen working. I've played with them. The build I have has things that we don't even show in the Kickstarter campaign. So here's the thing. The whole team has a background from the video game industry. And one thing you learn when you work in video games is that creating a feature, it's another thing than creating a feature and connecting it to networking. That's a whole other story. So the reason you guys see lag or having a hard time to matchmaking, or you play in Roll20 and all of a sudden it throws you out, things like that. It's because developers tend to deliver a feature, consider it final before they connect it to the networking. And when the time comes to connect it to the networking, the problem starts. So we have several things out there, small little things that have to do with, I'll give only one example, but I want to make clear that this is not a promise. So we want to create something that in the video game pipeline is called abilities. So we want the system to be able to give abilities to the objects and to the characters. And by abilities, we mean values that mean something. I'll tell you an example. We want to be able to say that this object or character or miniature or prop or monster, so this object, this 3D object, now has light. That's an ability. It produces light. Or this object now has a sound effect or an ability. So this is easy to do. When it comes to networking, obviously, every player must see this ability at the same time, or sometimes they must not see it. So if I'm invisible, you cannot see me, but the DM can see that I am invisible because he's the DM, and the other player can see me because he casted Detect Invisibility. So this is networking, and this is the complex thing. So this is not rule sets. This is basically a manual way to place spells and abilities into objects and characters. So we are working on that, even though it's not in our stretch goals, even though it's not in the rule sets, because we really like the idea to be able to place what we call abilities in every object and everything. And this will lead to creating events, to creating, to giving the chance to the Dungeon Master to say, if a character steps here, this sound is going to play, or this trap is going to be activated, or this door is going to open. So this is abilities and events. We are working on them. We are designing them more than creating them. This is something, for example, that we do not show. And the only reason I'm mentioning it is not because I want to make people think that, oh, I'm going to use this amazing feature. No, you probably won't. I don't want to promise anything. But we could easily create a small scene in the engine, export it, and show it in our Kickstarter campaign saying that, hey, we're preparing this. We didn't. We only show things that we have ready or 90% ready. And we are doing this because, first of all, we are scared. We don't want to lie. We don't want to overpromise or anything. So what I want to say is that at least we are trying to be honest, and we are going to give you a voice. So go and back us, and it will be a great honor because this is our widest dream. And I don't want to hide. Everyone quit the day job. 10 people quit the day job to create RPG stories. So yeah, you can always go and back us because it's the right thing to do for us.
I'm gonna say this before we get into our questions from the audience. First of all, your passion for this is infectious, and it is very endearing. And the fact that you are being so honest with the people, you're not over promising, and you're letting everybody know that, listen, what you're seeing out here is really just the tip of the iceberg on what we're doing, but everything you're seeing is real. That's awesome. And that's also very much, it makes it easy to go out and spend some money on your project. So, you just keep up the good work, man. It's great. Anthony, you were going to say something.
Just honest, as someone who's backed a ton of Kickstarters, it's also refreshing when you know that the 90% of the project is completed prior to you even having to put your money up to invest in the Kickstarter. Like, I know with 100% certainty that I'm gonna get a product. I'm gonna put my money up and I'm gonna get a completed project on its allotted time. So that's very refreshing, and that can't be said for every other Kickstarter out there, especially in the gaming space.
Yeah, I understand that. And I want to say something. What we want to do, and basically this is what we are going to do. There's no question about that. It's our decision and we're going to do it. we are not going to deliver the whole project by 2023, where we promised that we will be 100% ready. So what we've decided to do is, once the world builder is 100% decent, we're going to give the world builder for an early access, even if the VTT and the multiplayer isn't working. We want to go at the as soon as possible, because two reasons. First of all, we want to, simple as that. Second of all, we want the community to be part of the development. So if the product is not out there, they won't be able to tell their opinion. So we're going to start by giving the world builder, make the first update, put in more models, second update, doing some upgrades, third upgrade, putting the VTT and the multiplayer, third upgrade, things that we promised in the Kickstarter campaign. And by the October of 2023, like have the final first version and then moving forward. That's the first thing we decided to do. The only reason we are not announcing, in my perspective, the world builder is ready, but my leader developer disagrees. So, okay, I'm going to give him 1 month. The only reason we are not announcing the date, the exact date, is because we don't want to give the world builder out there. And by the time we give the multiplayer, we want the save system, the saving file system still to work. We don't want to say that, hey, now that the multiplayer went, everything you created goes to trash. Let's start from the beginning. So we are trying to secure that the save file system will be the same one now and forever, so that we can say, take the world builder, guys, let's have fun, and the VTT is coming. So we are waiting to see that part of the project before we announce that this is the time where the world builder will be on Steam. And I want to say, before we go to the questions, that by the 15th of September, we're going to allow for 10 or 15 days people to test the world builder, some parts of it, mostly the parts that we have questions and we want to see how you are going to react. We even going to throw there some features that we don't really like, but we want to see how people see them. Things that we already changed, older versions, because, you know, we want to see how people will react and what feedback they're going to give. So there are two ways to be part of this playtest. The easy way is by the 15th of September, refresh the Steam page, ask for permission. We're going to give you permission, Charissa or Christina, and you will be able to play for 15 days without doing anything. The second way is to go to our website. It's rpgstories.net and give your email so we can notify you and give you instructions and tutorials. It's not mandatory. You don't have to give your email, but if you want to get notified, you can do that. Or become a backer and get notified through Kickstarter. But again, this is not mandatory. Anyone can go to Steam by the 15th of September, type RPG Stories, find the product, playtest, give feedback. We have like a nice feedback button where you can send everything. And we really want the feedback because we want this to be the way the community wants to be, not how we want it to be. So that's the whole idea around of this small event of testing the world builder. And now to questions.
All right, who wants to ask the first question?
I'll take it. So it says, so our first question is from our good friend Claire online. They're known as the Infinite Construct. So the question is, will every player need to download a copy of the software? What are the system requirements that everyone will need to meet to play together? And what operating systems are going to be supported?
All right, so it's PC and Mac. We got the Linux question every day. I can't believe so many people are using Linux. I didn't know. So about Linux, basically, when we had the latest meeting, I said, what about that, guys? And they said, well, it's really easy to do it, but let's not focus right now. So we will do it at some point, but I don't know when. But it will be before the full release, obviously. So mobile and tablets, I don't think so. It's something we have in our head for the future. it's in our stretch goals. I don't see how we're going to cut them. So mobile and tablets are for the future. Now, I cannot say the exact specs because we are waiting, again, I don't want to lie, we're waiting to see our funds so that we can see the final features. If I don't know the final features, I cannot say the specs. I cannot come out and say, hey, it's i5 with graphic cards, blah, blah, blah. It's going to be a lie. What I'm going to say is that the 100% thing is that we will support medium power PCs. That's 100% sure. You won't need an i7 with a massive graphic card or something like that. And a funny story, because I really like funny stories, Chrisa, that you mentioned, has a really old i3 laptop that everyone in the team is making fun of it. And we tried to test RPG stories in this awful machine. Kind of working, but it's not working. So yeah, we are trying to optimize things all the time. And we are using that awful machine as a crash test. So basically, everyone needs to install it. When it comes to GM version, obviously, they get installed via Steam and it gets installed. The player version, the same thing. When it comes to player seats, basically, upon the invitation, an installer will appear, they get installed, and then the Dungeon Master is the host and they get to host everything. Yeah, that's that. I think I replied to everything, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Next question is from Sumter Mac Guy. Will there be I'm curious about this question too. I thought this was a really good question. Will there be a system in place to add music, such as atmospheric sounds and music?
Yeah. So again, funny story. I'm a musician. That's my background. I used to work in the music industry back in Greece. And this is how I started being a producer, basically, in the music industry. And that's why I have these amazing speakers here. So my stupid head thought that I will have the time to create music for RPG stories. Obviously not. So yeah, we will allow the Dungeon Master to upload their music and the sound effects and play them and do whatever they want with it. And we met someone in Germany at Gamescom that is creating amazing music. And we are thinking maybe putting some of our own music in there. Well, we're going to see. I think that we see that users prefer to play their own music or play playlists from YouTube or Spotify or anything. So maybe that's the way. But yeah, uploading sound effects and music is already working.
Nice. I know a lot of people.
Sorry.
No biggie.
And video. And I want to explain why. So the idea of uploading videos was because when I play Call of Cthulhu myself, because I really like Call of Cthulhu, I had this story at some point that the players were going in a room and there was a TV playing a certain video repeatedly, again and again. So I wanted to show that video to the players. And that video was an anchor woman saying the news in Italy. So they had to understand it and try to translate it. So, and it was playing in repeat. So what I've done is I took my camera and my mother speaks Italian. So I dressed my mother as an anchor woman in front of a huge TV. We recorded the whole thing and I had it in my phone playing again and again. And then I thought, why not giving the ability to the Dungeon Master to click on a TV and a video opens that plays the thing that plays in that TV, for example. Nice. So yeah, it's music, sound effects, and video.
Nice.
And we call that feature GM Show. So when you mouse over to the icon that opens this feature, we call it GM Show. We need to find a name. So if anyone has an idea, let us know.
No,
Dean,
that
the next time we run a game using this, we're gonna have a TV with stream running.
Okay, ready in the background.
Yeah.
oh, that's such a cool
Free
feature.
promo.
I didn't even think of that aspect of using videos within a VTT. That's stellar, and
Yeah. And
something else.
sorry. So we have some placeholders in the system, and they are all Daffy Ducks.
Oh man, that's
And-
amazing.
And Daffy Duck in Greek. That's even worse.
Real quick, Ais, you mentioned your speakers. Are those clips?
Welcome again.
Are those speakers in the background? Are those clip speakers?
Yamaha.
Yamaha, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, the next question we have from our audience is another one from Claire, but it's a great question, so definitely want to ask it. A major part of the real tabletop experience is being able to fudge numbers and use homebrew rules on the fly. In the software, how easy will it be to alter the stats of a monster, fudge die rolls when it's too unfair to the players, etc.?
All right. That's a hard question. Is it Claire?
Yes.
Thank you, Claire. You killed me. All right. All right. So this is the path basically that leads to rule sets, pretty much. So the 3D dice are customizable. So yeah, you'll get the opportunity as the dungeon master to do your own magic, and I never do it. I play fair and square. But yeah, we will allow this because we understand that, that's what the players been doing for ages. They have the DM screen and they roll the dice in secret to save the players. That's the whole thing. So yeah. Now about what was the other question?
Basically, she said major was be able to fudge
homebrew,
numbers.
the homebrew thing.
Homebrew.
Yeah. So let me explain something, because this thing that you see it in the community, people saying, will you have rule sets? So basically, what does rule sets means? In our mind, rule sets mean, and that's our next stretch goal, basically. Rule sets mean that the system will be able to, will have all the rules of the 5th edition, let's say, and the system will be able to recognize that since you clicked on your character sheet, the little word that is called longsword, the system can see what are the chances for you to hit the specific monster. So the system is checking the character sheet of your character, the character sheet of the monster. You roll the dice, you get the result, and you get a message with what happened. All right. So, or if we get like millions of money, you don't get a message of what happened, but you see it happening with animations. All right. So that's rule sets. So the first step to do that is not implementing the whole thing, but implementing the monsters and saying that, all right, these are the monsters, and they all have a character sheet like the players do in the current stretch goal that we are now. So you get the orc, let's say the orc, and you have a character sheet for it. Let's say you right click and you open a small character sheet that says hit point 8. Thaco, kidding. Not Thaco.
Exactly.
Yeah. Sorry.
There'll be somebody that asks for taco.
Don't apologize. We know what THACO is, and if they don't,
okay, thank you. So yeah, proficiency check +4, armor class 15. So that's a weird thing, because exposing these values and letting the user changing them, it's the most easy thing. And I don't know why people are not doing it. So just to give an example, when you go to the engine, the developer literally says armor class, and he plays a value. He says that this monster has armor class 12. It's something that is written. So exposing it to the software and letting anyone change in it is just, let's say, not a button, but it's 5 minutes work. So we want to, whatever abilities and stats we give in the character sheets, we want them to be exposed so that the user can change them. And eventually, if we get the rule sets, you'll be able to homebrew the whole thing and literally create your own game. So the key here is, again, the save system, to be honest with Claire. So you go and change the orc, you change the stats, but we need to work now on how you can save it and rename it as orc number 2. And then why not change the model of that specific orc, and from, let's say, gray, make it dark green, so that you can have like or pink, so that you can have like a different model. So that's the idea, that's the design, that's what we're trying to do. It's not ready yet. That's why it's not in our Kickstarter campaign showing off, but that's exactly what we're working on, exposing the values so that you can change everything. So anytime you pick from your library that specific orc you homebrewed, as you put it in the scene, the system automatically rolls the stats, rolls how many hit points it has, and remembers that this orc has a different AC and a different FACO.
Nice.
Yeah.
So the last question is from, again, our illustrious friend Claire. And she said, are there plans to expand the 3D software via pre-made or user-made mods that allow for new functionality like in Foundry?
I didn't understand the question. Sorry.
She basically, I think she's asking, like, are you going to expand the 3D software where you can add user-made items?
Basically, will you allow user mods to actually change the software?
Oh, yeah. Now I understand. Okay, so there is this amazing thing called Steam Workshop. So a funny story again, because I really like saying stories. When I approached the developer, the leader developer, he was a god to me. I knew him from another company, and I considered him like the best there is. So when I made the offer, I was kind of scared that he's going to say no, because he's, and I really wanted to work with him. So he said, that's a cool idea, Agis. Would you consider leaving open the opportunity to people to use Steam Workshop? And I said, what the hell is that? I didn't know. So he explained to me, and I said, yeah, why not? Then I'm in. So for some reason, he's obsessed with that. So everyone is like, yeah, we really want to, because to be serious now, since the funds are not endless, letting the community change things and homebrew things and change the mode and add things, it's really helpful. And again, we all know what is happening out there. So even if a company like Brave Alice RPG Stories implements rule sets, we are not allowed to implement everything, right? I cannot take every book from Hasbro, Wizards of the Coast, and implement it. Even if I had the money, I'm not allowed to do it. So what the community does is they do it for us. That's what's happening with, I met a guy that basically he implemented the whole second edition of Dungeons & Dragons in Roll20. And he's not an employee. He did it for fun. So we really need that, not because it's not only a matter of funds, but it's a matter of copyright. And we understand that the community is having fun doing these things. And I'm surprised because, for example, the question, am I allowed to upload my own models, is so common. People ask us this every day, again and again. At some point I said, how many people do know how to 3D model? I mean, everybody knows how to create a 3D model. I don't. It's amazing. Yeah, because the new generation is on the internet, they create things and they really want to be part of it. And the love you get is amazing. So the answer for Claire is yes, we are going to allow that. And we are going to allow it as soon as possible because you guys are doing an amazing job. I'm a big fan of second edition, and I get to play second edition just because a crazy guy went there and created everything. Yeah.
I have one last question to add, and then we can, wrap stuff up, guys. I don't know if anybody's asked this question or not, but do you have any plans on trying to implement things that could be used for like a more superheroic game, superheroes?
All right. Again, honesty. I've never played the superhero game. I really want to. The problem, yeah, you need to invite me. We have the same problem with Vampire the Masquerade. So when it comes to games that the powers are a little bit vague, I'm not familiar again with this superhero games, but I'm gonna give the example of Vampire the Masquerade. When you get the disciplines and they say that in discipline number 5, you can do this, this, and that, and it's a vague description of how powerful your vampire is. How can you implement that in a VTT? It's impossible because it deals with the imagination. So I don't know the answer. Basically, the answer is let's get out there. Let's see what the community needs and what they can contribute and advise us. And we will like to follow it. Unfortunately, we see that the D&D community is the one who is really supporting and really giving the money and really giving the strength. And again, the reason is that it's really hard to approach the other communities. And we hope that the word of mouth will really help. And I also want to say that I am aware that there are out there amazing gaming systems, indie ones, not really famous ones, that have a huge audience. And in every interview, we say it again and again, if any content creator out there has his own game system, anything that he thinks it's really easy to implement, or he wants to join the team and help us implement it, because, it's really hard for them to get out there. We want to help anyone because this is why we're doing it. So feel free to go to our website and send an email saying, hey, I have this system. Can I implement it in RPG Stories? And we will figure out a way to do it somehow at some point. We really want to, because it's not all about D&D. It's not all about the famous games. We know that out there are amazing games. So that's my answer. I'm not replying about superhero games, but basically this is how we see things.
There's a couple people in chat that graphic designers are saying that the community could definitely help. I think Foundry is a perfect example of that, of the community actually moves that software forward, because the community basically does most of the sets. And now you could just go to Foundry and find pretty much any game because there's someone in the community that did a plugin.
Yeah. And basically, that's the reason we respect those guys, because they really improved what was out there. And that is why we said, there's no reason to fight with anyone. Let's split the world builder. Let's split the VT. Let's allow them to use only the world builder and export for Foundry. And whatever happens, there is space for everyone. And I think I personally don't use Foundry, and the reason is that my friends find it a little bit complicated, but that's just my friends. I'm not a good example. But I've downloaded the software, I got it, I backed it. It's an amazing software, amazing software. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, and I think that they did an amazing job leaving the community, really helping the situation.
I think you could definitely find a space that way too. That'd be awesome. Because personally, I'm super excited for RPG Stories. I'm super excited to see where this goes. We've been lucky enough to we've been talking to you for a couple of months now, and I've seen the growth and everything that, personally, I think this is it's getting in on the ground floor is something special. There's something to be, a year from now we could brag about. Oh, yeah, we was down on RPG stories before
Yeah.
it got announced. Look at them now. So I'm really excited to go on this journey with you guys and see what
Again, you guys are amazing, and we've met so many YouTubers and streamers. You guys are, top 3, and there are amazing people out there that really want to help. And that's my advice to any content creator. Let's help each other. Stop nagging about everything. Stop complaining about everything. And let's unite, because this is our hobby and our dream. And let's do it.
I think it's pretty interesting because, we sit here and we talk about it. You're talking about all these other softwares. And it's crazy because I have them. I have Dungeon Alchemy. I have Foundry. I have, Tailspire, and I've backed all of these Kickstarters, which is crazy. But, again, like I said, this is really exciting. I'm looking forward to, playing with it, looking forward to, getting in on the play test.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same old story. I've done the same with all these books here and all the books over there. Now it's the time to buy software. That's what we do because we're crazy with it. We cannot help ourselves. Let's admit it. I mean, I have them, all of them. I mean, I even right now, literally, there's a competitor running a Kickstarter campaign. I backed them. I gave them. I want to test it. I mean, this is the nature of it, and that's why I say spend $10 to support someone, even if you don't believe in it that much. You don't have to buy the whole thing. Go and play. It's $5 just to help a studio achieve their goals. Because personally, we are working on our ass off. I mean, it's almost 5 a.m. here, and I'm giving an interview. I don't care. I just want to promote RPG stories. It's my dream. So yeah.
Like we said, there's 20 more, 20 days left?
23 days, or 22 now.
22 now.
22 days left. Go out, check it out. And if you can, use the Cypher Unlimited link. It helps us out a little bit as well. So if you want to help out RPG Stories and Cypher Unlimited at the same time, please use our link. But you don't have to if you don't want to, but just go check this out. I don't have to convince you. Just go watch the videos, and you'll convince, the videos will convince you enough. You don't have to hear from me or Al or Dean. Just go watch the stuff and then be a judge for yourself. Like everyone asked me, 3D VTTs aren't for everybody, but this is more than just a 3D VTT. And I just want you to just go check it out because it's really hella cool.
You guys are amazing. We have to hire you as promoters. I mean, you are amazing.
Al, you want to say anything before I go into my spiel?
Nah, just thank you so much for coming on and talking with us more in depth about RPG stories. We definitely learned some new stuff that should be tantalizing for people who are on the fence about it. Yeah, thank you.
We thank you. And we are waiting for your stories, guys. And after the Kickstarter campaign to sit down and talk, because we don't have the time right now, but yeah, let's
and
have
after the
like
campaign,
a normal talk.
And of course, Agis, after the campaign, I got you. You just let me know, and superhero game is all yours. My specialty, my favorite to run.
Yeah.
So it's all for you.
Join the team.
If you like us and you like what we do, join the Cypher Unlimited Discord server for all things Monty Cook games. We're the largest fan-run Discord server for everything MCG. We just passed 4,000 subs. But if Discord's not for you, join our Facebook group. Not as big as our Discord, but great conversations being had there as well. Give us a like, share, and subscribe on our YouTube channel. We're so close to 1,000 subs there. We could taste it. Please, please, please go give us a sub there, or give us a follow and subscribe here on Twitch. If you want to help us out monetarily, our videos are always free, but you can give us a little donation on Ko-fi. We really appreciate it. And last but not least, go to our online store and pick up some cool Cypher Unlimited merch like me and Dean got on. And I'm running out of breath. We love you guys.
Thank you very much, guys.
Yeah, and as usual, thank you guys for stopping by and watching. We had some great conversation here, and again, just to reiterate, if you haven't already, be sure to go check out those links to check out RPG stories, because definitely looking quite promising. So yeah, as usual, from us at the CU, we will see you later.